Mokhtar, we have a new means to communicate with AI agents. What is it and why do we have it? How does it work?
There's this new protocol called Model Context Protocol, or MCP, and this standard enable AI agents to efficiently utilize external tools and data and service in a standardized way.
So this is good for everybody.
Oh yeah, I mean, it gives a lot more power to agents, and it's really standardized the way that agents interact basically with the world.
What is sort of not good enough out of the box that security is needed?
MCP has a real problem with authentication and authorizations. And it's not really the problem of the MCP protocol in itself. It's more like a limitation of the underlying systems that were designed in the context of like humans accessing them. Often the native systems have authorizations and authentication systems that are just too broad and that gives too much power to the agents, which opens the agents to a lot of vulnerabilities. There's also like a lot of security concerns related to MCP in itself around like prompting and like tool poisoning, etc. But we believe at Formal that the biggest problem is around like overprivilege for AI identities.
Can you tell me specifically what the heck is Formal doing with MCP to secure it at the level most security professionals would like?
So for example, let's say that you have an AI agent that needs to put up a peer. To be able to do that, it needs also to be able, with GitHub, to have access to be able to approve the peer. With GitHub, you cannot create a permission, an API key that just gives you the right to create a peer. If you have the right to create a peer, you also have the right to approve a peer. Now, what you could say that in your org, you basically have a GitHub role that require peer reviews, right, for your peers. But what happens if you basically have two different agents that are working on the same peer and they end up approving each other, right? And so with Formal, you're basically going to put it between your GitHub MCP servers and your AI agents, and you will be able to define policies such as, I never want an AI agent to be able to approve any peer. We always need a human in the loop. And so the way we're doing it is today when you look at the scopes of permissions, whether from the native system or even from OAuth, a lot of folks are talking about OAuth in the context of MCP, the permissions buckets are always just too wide, right? And so you want more granular permissions that are just in times and that are contextually based.
Give us some more insight onto that granular context-aware privilege access.
That's really like the big differentiator of Formal is we give you visibility and control where you need it the most at the point of data access. And so the way that our product works is that it sits between your AI agents, services, data stores, APIs, whatever, and it has the ability to inspect every single request in real time at the protocol level. So we understand the context, we understand the data that are flowing, who's making the call, which requests are being accessed, what kind of data are being applied. But we also take historical data access patterns as part of the context on like, should we dynamically allow or not access to these resources or this piece of data for the underlying identity.
Give me an idea of how it plays itself out.
Recently, we've saw a lot of data breach that came from customer support agents being paid by other actors to like fetch data from customers. And that basically comes from like overprivilege. And so with a tool like Formal, you basically can put it between your customer support dashboards and all your database and your data stack. And you can create a very simple policy that says, if for every single row of data, for every single piece of data for each customer, if this customer doesn't have a support ticket that's open in your customer support ticket tool, let's say Zendesk, and this ticket is not assigned to the customer support agent who's querying the data at that given time, then block the data. And so then the support agent will never see any data that is not directly related to a ticket that the agent is solving at a given time. And that applies for human identities and machine identities.
If you, our audience, want to get more granularity into understanding your environment, especially with AI agents and MCP, you really, really need to take a look at what they're doing over there at Formal. The web address to go there is right there, joinformal.com. Go check it out.